Welcome back to SportsLine, everybody. And you know, sometimes it gets really good on this show. We have a very special guest joining us in studio. Just happens to be my partner in crime here at News Channel 5 Sports, the great Steve Lehman, best sportscaster in Nashville. And
you are way too kind.
Well, I wouldn't say it if I didn't mean it. It's our first chance to chat here on SportsLine since you returned from your accident in late August, early September, whenever it was. You were out of action for 106 days.
Well, you're going to go nostalgic on me here?
Neck injury. Rib injury, facial lacerations, but you're back. You're good as new. You've been back for a while. How you feeling?
I don't know if I would go with 110% or not yet, but no, I feel really good. I'm incredibly blessed. You guys are amazing through the whole thing for a lot of different reasons, and I'll get emotional if I start getting into all of them. But there's nobody I'd rather be back here with than you and everybody else. So glad to be here. Glad to see you every day at work again.
Yeah, well, it's great to have you back, and things are getting back to normal at the office. All right, you were keeping an eye on Tennessee. They were on the road tonight. The men's basketball team at Georgia looked good in the first half. They built themselves a lead. What happened?
Same thing that seemingly has happened to this team, John, all season when they go on the road. This is a team that just can't find the basket on the road in these games. They're now 0-7 away from Knoxville this year. And tonight, same thing. They had a lead, 35-28 at the half. It looked like a pretty good performance. Maybe not the best basketball, but you don't need that on the road. You just need wins, and they had the lead at the half, but second half they were unable to control Kenny Gaines or J.J. Frazier. Both of those guys went for, I think, 26 and 23 respectively.
Wow. And
Georgia puts up 53 points in the second half. I don't care who you are. If you give up 53 points and a half in college basketball, you're probably not going to win.
Yeah, it's got to be frustrating for Vols fans because at times you look at this team and you're thinking, all right, this could be a tournament team, but then they turn in a performance like they had tonight.
Yeah, I think that's exactly the frustration is, look, expectations were pretty low for this team with all the uncertainty of the coaching changes of the last few years. Rick Barnes being a first-year head coach here, but he's also a guy that's consistently gotten teams to the tournament over the course of his career. So you thought, all right, there's some pieces there. Maybe they can piece it together. And when they've been at home, they've been a pretty good basketball team. They've got some solid wins in Tommy Bowl. But once they go to the road, those outside shots, as you know, become tougher to knock down. Yep. And this team has to be able to shoot from outside because they're not very big inside. And when those outside shots don't fall, they're not a very good basketball team, and we've seen that time and time again away from home.
Certainly a lot more optimism regarding the Vols football team. An impressive New Year's Day bowl win over Northwestern, 45-6. You and I have been talking about this. They should be everybody's sweetheart pick next year to win the SEC East, don't you think?
I think there were some people's sweetheart pick this year to win the SEC East, and after watching the season play out, it's maybe more disappointing now for Vols fans that they didn't win the SEC East because certainly they had chances. But what you saw this year, I think, John, is you had a team that was still a little bit young, on the cusp, getting the experience to get to that point where they could be a championship team and be ready for those environments and games. And you saw that. Oklahoma, a team that was in the playoff, had them on the ropes. But when it came to winning time in the fourth quarter, Oklahoma was the better football team. Florida. Tennessee's a better football team than Florida. Absolutely. I've got no problem saying that at the end of the year.
Because it's true.
But on the road in that game, when they had to make some fourth down plays or make the play offensively or special teams, they didn't make them. And that's the difference between this team winning 10 or 11 games and being in that conversation this
Alabama.
year or being where they are now. Yeah, Alabama, make a few field goals. Arkansas, you're up by 17 points. So this was a team that this year learned how to win, and that's something Butch Jones talks about. It's a big part of building a program. This year, the Vols learned how to win. Next year, the wins are going to be expected. And if you look at this schedule, other than probably the Alabama game, I think the Vols are favored in every game on the schedule next year, which means baseline, you're looking 11 wins probably for this Tennessee team. Expectations very high.
Yeah, a couple minutes left. I mean, and Butch Jones gets rid of John Jancic as his defensive coordinator, brings in Bob Shoop. Folks around here familiar with him. We were talking about this. This is a sign that they feel like they can be really good next year. We got to shore up our defense, and we're making a run.
He didn't just get a home run hire. He maybe got a walk-off home run hire because Bob Shoop has had a top 25 defense every year he's been a defensive coordinator at the major college level. All 3 years at Vanderbilt, now the last 2 years at Penn State. He, to me, is one of the big keys of James Franklin's success. Yes, James Franklin recruits really well and all that, but defense has really been the strength of all of those teams that James Franklin has had. Now that guy comes to Tennessee, so it's a huge coup for Butch Jones and the Vols to get a guy like Bob Shoop. He's recruited a lot of these guys during his time at Vanderbilt, so he's already familiar with the personnel. So I think that's great. And it's also maybe a little bit of shot across the bow to the old nemesis in James Franklin as well, because that's a big blow to Penn State's efforts.
Yeah, no question about it. All right, 20 seconds or less, 10 seconds or less.
All right,
who will be the Titans'
shorter.
new head coach?
Ooh. I'm using all the time up to think of it. I think Malarkey certainly has a good shot.
Okay.
But I think ultimately they're going to hire general manager first, and he's going to have big influence on it.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I think they go outside. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't have a great name, though, because the guys I wanted, top of my list, Hugh Jackson, Adam Gase, off the table because they haven't interviewed guys
That's
yet.
right. All right, make sure you check it out.
That's a terrible 20-second answer. I went at least 30.
You sounded great, though. You sounded like you knew what you were talking about. And sometimes, for me, that's half the battle. Catch Steve tonight over on News Channel 5 at 10:22 for highlights of the Tennessee game and everything going on in the day in sports. We'll take our last break, come back right after this.